Zidane Deany, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Nerd Chat here on Electro Ninja's Lab. I am here with my fellow host,
I'm Jack.
and today we thought we would discuss, well, Evercold. This is going to be our last Nerd Chat before freaking uh f- bleh, before FanFest comes out starts up next week. We probably won't be doing a nerd chat next week. It might happen, but it's less likely. Just due to the fact that there's just a lot going on next weekend. So yeah. But yeah, FanFest is coming out, and then in August, suppose from what I understand, it is the 1st of August is when like the first batch gets to start playing Final Fantasy 14 on the Switch. Um, but it's probably going to be like a very short amount of time after that it's going to go to everyone. So, yeah, um sometime in August, Jack is going to finally be able to play Final Fantasy 14 along with like a lot of other players, which is insane. How are you feeling about that?
I'm pretty excited, not gonna lie.
I've talked your ear off about this game for a long time. So yeah.
For years.
Yeah. Um and like the thing is like when Joker was part of the team, um he actually did play a little bit of the game. Only like a very small amount, but he couldn't really play too much because the game didn't really function on his PC. Because he had a shitty PC. So, yeah. Um, and he liked it. He did like it. What the brief amount that he did play. Currently, Gothic Phoenix is also currently going through the game. I think she's still very early though. She hasn't really gotten too far just due to like timing and stuff. Um, but yeah, I specifically wanted to do this nerd chat because was realizing, there's going to be this massive influx of players. There's going to be people who are going to be coming in because, oh, there's a new expansion. Maybe I should check out this game that everyone's been talking about for years and years and years and years and years and so on and so forth. Oh, it's finally coming to the Switch. So a lot of people are going to be picking up the game for the very first time. Um, because it's finally on a system that they play on. Cough, cough, Jack. Um, And well, while this is happening, maybe I should check out FanFest, the big event for this game that's going to be talking about the new expansion. Please don't. I know that's so you absolutely can. All of you guys who are coming into the game for the very first time, you absolutely can watch FanFest and watch like my stream of it. I will be live streaming here on YouTube and on Twitch. However, there is a high probability that we will be muting the visuals or muting the actual sound on that stream due to the fact that YouTube is going to have like some uh finagling in the early parts. Supposedly that is just in the very beginning of the game, at the very beginning of the thing, um which is the keynote, which is going to be talking extensively about the everything going on with the new expansion. And one thing that is very important for people to understand about Final Fantasy is that the game is very, very story heavy. Um, like I don't even want to talk. Like I will sometimes say, "Oh yeah, I'm really upset that this one character died." I will say it in that format. I will never say like, "Oh, so and so died." Oh, I'll just give like an example of like a character who doesn't die. Oh, Alphino died. I won't ever say something like that. Like Alphino is never dying. Let that be very clear. He's way too important in the game to ever die. But yeah. um I'll like say like, "Oh, I'm really sad this character died," but I'll never say like, "Oh, Alphino died. I'm really upset." Um because that is a massive spoiler. there's Final Fantasy has like a lot of these good groups of people who are just like, yeah, they don't want to talk about the spoilers. Um, I have specific. I kind of talk a little bit about spoilers on my streams, but that's mostly because I have played through the game before, and I try to make that very clear. In my streams is like I've been through the story before. I know what happens. Um, and especially like with the Zoho stream specifically, that is specifically me going back through the story with the context of what happens later and then talking about it. Um, like just as like an example, there's a character who changes name. A lot of people were really pissed about that when they first went through it. Now that I'm going through the game a second time, I'm like, oh, yeah, now it actually kind of makes a little bit more sense because this whole plot point, it's not about you. It's not about your character and knowing who this person is. It's kind of like that character kind of developing understanding of like who she is and so on and so forth. Um to a certain degree, I think that it's that specifically um I don't I don't really know how to best to explain it. But a lot of people were really pissed about the fact that she changed her name because a lot of people there's like no hints at it for like a long time, and it's just like, and we don't know the original character that she's pretending to be. So, yeah. Um and that like that's like currently stuff that's going on in like Stormblood. And yeah, that's so a lot of people got really pissy about that. There's a lot of other things, but I think that going back through it again, year with years and years of just playing through the game, now going back through it again and like, oh, that makes sense now. Um, so yeah, but yeah, so talking about Evercold specifically is like they're not gonna spoil like plot points in Evercold, but there is a high probability that they're going to talk about like certain characters um that that are very important in like other in previous expansions, especially like Dawn Trail. Especially people are really gonna because this is going specifically off of Dawn Trail, the most recent expansion, into Evercold. There's probably going to be a lot of talk about like Wook Lamont and um Halmarut and uh Calyx and all of these things. And like these are characters that you don't even get introduced to until like way late into the game. Um and like me saying their names, you have no emotion about them because you haven't played through the game. And you'll like I say this specifically, I'm only saying their names, not saying like anything about them. And it's just there could be all sorts of spoilers as they're talking about these things. Um and it might just be like something as simple as, oh, because Halmarut has green horns, that's part of the reason why you're going to be able to change the color of your horns as a Aura. Um and so on and so forth. Um, so they are doing like a whole bunch of changes over the next few weeks and months to kind of get ready for that. And like certain aspects of this are really cool. Um but really a lot of it is stuff that you probably should find a non-spoiler version of somebody talking about the game later is probably the best bet for those of you who are first getting into the game. Like there's going to be some massive overhauls to character creation. So here's like some information about it, blah 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 blah. That will probably be there probably will be videos specifically about the fact that character creation is getting changed significantly in Evercold. Um there might be some information about the classes that will go that'll be going out. Because the two new classes that are coming, people are really excited about them. There's going to be a lot of cool information about them. We don't know much more about them, but yeah. um we know what types of classes they are. We know what levels they're going to start out at. But beyond that, we have no knowledge of it. Um, and the other thing to keep in mind is for people who are free to play, while this could get you to purchase the game, to go through the game and play through it all, keep in mind you're very early. And when it comes to the free to play players like yourself, that are going to be starting the game, you're really not going to be playing that much in like terms of a lot of the later content. You can only get up through like Shadowbringers, which is like once Evercold comes out, that's going to be like 3 expansions back. Um, so yeah. Um, but it does have like a lot of really cool stuff in it. Um, I I don't know. I think I've told you like a whole bunch of just random details about the game. What are some things that you found like really interesting when I've told you about them? Just out of curiosity.
Oh gosh, I could never remember.
Fair. Um, I mean, I mentioned something to, to you earlier. uh, about the frickin' Emperor's New Clothes. Um, which that's funny. I think that's just really funny. The game is full of like references to all sorts of other media. Whether it be like the Emperor's New Clothes in reference to the King's New Clothes story by uh yeah, Hans Christian Andersen. Um and so on and so forth. Um that is literally just like gear that makes your gear turn invisible, and it's kind of fun. Um, Most people only really use like the pieces that change your accessories, and then the pieces that sometimes people will use like the gloves because of the fact that they can make it so that you're not wearing any gloves, and then uh no one uses the hat because you can just turn off your hat, doesn't matter. Um and then the let's see. Oh, and then the last thing that people will use is that the fists, because the fist weapons, because monks. No one really liked. Very, very, very few people like the monk weapons. Um, which is a kind of an important point for people to be that I think that Square should be more aware of that. That yeah, people don't like the frickin' monk weapons. The ones that people like the most are the ones where you are they're either gloves or they're bare fists. So, which is not many. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of makes sense when it's the Pugilist, but yeah. Um, but it's fine. It's whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about like the different races in the game. Um so you're currently thinking of being a Hrothgar, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think honestly that's a great choice. Male Hrothgar, especially for knowing you, I think that you're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Um, a lot of people actually really do like the class, and I think it's really fantastic that Shadowbringers now allows you to is now in the game is now in the free to play version, because it allows people to play through the game and yeah, uh it allows them to play as these classes or these races. One of the biggest problems that a lot of players have is the fact that they can't um if you before if you want to do the free to play game, you couldn't be like any of these other races. So you couldn't when it first came out, you couldn't be what is known as an Raw until you had purchased the game. You couldn't be you can't be you couldn't be Hrothgar or Vera until this last expansion or this last update to the free to play game. Um, which are bunny people and giant cat people. Um, big bulky cat people. Um, and yeah, uh but now everyone can be whatever class they want. And I think that was I feel like that was kind of a dumb decision for them to make. If they ever add another race into the game, which I don't think they're going to, I think that they're just going to stick with the ones that they have and never add more. Which is a little bit sad, but they've kind of been hinting at that for a while. Um so yeah, with that they if they do ever add another race that you can play as, I think that they need to make sure that said race is um is able to be played by the free to play players. You should be able to play that character as soon as you get the game. Um, and I don't know why they never did that, but it's whatever. Um, but yeah. Um, so a few things that you should that probably should be made aware of is limitations for the free to play game. For So as a free to play player, you are unable to do PvP. You are unable to access the auction house, and you are unable to access retainers, which is basically extra storage. Oh, and you also can't trade with other players. Um, you can't form your own parties. You can't join FCs, which are basically guilds, and you can't. Yeah, there's a lot. Pretty much a lot of the free to play players do not have the options to interact really as much with other players as the people who are paying for the game, which it makes sense. Um, so you can use the party finder, or not party finder, duty finder, but you are unable to use the party finder. Um, the party finder basically allows players to form a party before they go into something, which is basically what everyone uses to create what are known as fake groups and hunt trains and so on and so forth. There's a lot of interesting aspects to the game. One of the things that is really important about Final Fantasy is don't kill A or S rank hunts unless you are in a group. Some of the early ones or whatever, but the vast majority of players do what's called hunt trains, which are basically big bad monsters. They form like this huge group that goes from zone to zone, killing off all of these really big monsters. They spawn them all in beforehand, and then once they're all spawned, they just be like, "Okay, now we go kill them." And
Huh.
it's actually like really fun. But at the same, I've participated in a few of those. But one of the big problems with that is that if you are a new player and you don't know that, sometimes you'll just like see one of these big monsters and be like, "Oh, can I get some help to kill this thing?" And then everyone is like, "No, no, 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 no." Like you have a few friends and they'll be like, "Nope, you can't do that. Sorry." Um, it's a little bit like I said, it's not as big of a deal when it comes to earlier game stuff. So like very rarely are you going to really see anything like that Shadowbringers or before. You might see some of that in Endwalker, you might see some of that in Dawn Trail, but you won't be seeing that in like you don't really see it in Shadowbringers, you don't really see it in Stormblood, you don't really see it in Heaven's Ward or A Realm Reborn. Sometimes you do see like party finders setting up these things, but the thing is that because of the way that free to play works, um, now is that if you are using the party finder to like go into these like pretty big groups, so like if you want to go into like an extreme as just an example, like Rummer Born Extremes, like some people might help you, but it's more like, okay, let now that you've gotten that set up, let's just go in with like a level 100 person. I'll wipe it, I'll clear it for you so that you can get it done, and that's it. Because
Mm.
a lot of these things are able to be done soloable now. Um, and yeah, like the most that you'll see when it comes to Party Finder specifically for early stuff is blue mage stuff, because blue mages have this advantage where if there are several blue mages who need a specific spell, all of them can learn the spell off of one monster if they're all joined together. Um and as such, big part like a party of 8 blue mages will go into a freaking trial or something, a trial or a raid, and they'll kill the thing, get their spell, and then they'll be done. Um, Blue Mage is really interesting, honestly. Unfortunately, you can't unlock Blue Mage until you're level 50. Um, and unfortunately, that is also going to be the situation when it comes to Beastmaster when it comes out in September. Is that you won't be able to get it until you're level 50. However, you also can't get it unless you have Dawn Trail. So, yeah, so you have to actually have purchased the game in order to play with Beastmaster, which is going to be a little bit annoying because a lot of people are going to want to play as Beastmaster. Um,
Fair.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that I don't think it's going to be too long for the those of you who are playing on Switch to be able to fully access the game. Um, as far as we're aware, it's going to be like the test is starting in on August 1st. Let me see if I can find information about that. Let me see. Do they have anything about it? Uh, that's FanFest. FanFest. That's the sale going on right now because apparently the game is like on PlayStation and Xbox. The game is 50% off. So, which isn't too surprising. That happens all the time, by the way. Um, did they not talk about that? I guess they didn't do a Switch announcement on the English side. Yeah, it might just be on the Japanese side for now, and then they'll do like an actual announcement on the English side when it's ready to go. Um, I hope that it's soon though. Um, I don't know exact dates, but I don't expect it to be past August that you'll be able to play the game. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, I guess like the big question is like, oh, that's another question. What class do you think you'll want to play as? Like, you'll be able to play as pretty much every single class once you get the game. Once you get to level 10, you can pretty much unlock every single class that exists. Um, and then yeah. So to start off with, if you want to go to, I guess we'll go through the cities. So if you want to go to Limsa Lominsa, which I do not recommend, you can be either a warrior, which is a tank, or you can play an arcanist, who is a ranged magical DPS, and turns into summoner. Um, sorry, I think I said warrior. It's I'm forgetting what it's called. Marauder. Marauder is what you start off as, and then you turn into a warrior. Um, So that's Limsa Lominsa. Once you get to level 10, you can unlock Ninja there. But well, Rogue, which turns into Ninja. Um, and that's in Limsa. In Gridania, there is Archer, which turns into Bard, Lancer, which turns into Dragoon. And both of those are DPS. Archer is physical ranged, and Lancer slash Dragoon is melee range or melee physical DPS. Um, and then there's Conjurer slash White Mage, which is a healer. Um, Also, going back to Arcanist really quick, Arcanist turns into both Summoner and Scholar. Scholar is a healer, Summoner is a magical ranged, which is special. Um, and then for uh 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 Ul'dah, the one that I recommend the most to new players is Thaumaturge, which turns into Black Mage, which is a magical ranged. Gladiator, which turns into Paladin, which is a tank. And then Pugilist, which turns into Monk, which is a physical melee DPS. So those are your classes that you can start off with. Which one do you, of those, just based off what I've said, like, what do you think? What are you thinking currently?
I think Archer sounds good.
Yeah, Archer is. I think Archer is personally the one. I think I've started out with Archer more times than I have with any other class because while Gridania is good. It is. I think it's probably like one of the best in terms of like what the town looks like. I think it's the best looking and the best organized. When it comes to the way that the town looks. So I often will go with either Archer or uh uh Lancer because they're both very simple classes. Um but Archer is really nice because you can be ranged, you can kite things and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to survive than like Lancer or Conjurer is kind of fun, but it's also a healing mode. It's a healer and healers are kind of terrifying early on. There's a lot of stress that can happen with that. But the important thing to remember is that no matter what class you start off with, once you reach level 10, but I would recommend waiting until you get at least to level 15, you can play as any class that you want. Um, the reason I specifically suggest wait until you're level 15 is because around level 15 for the main story quest, you unlock your mount and that saves like a so much time because not only does that your first mount work as a mount, it also can fight alongside you, which is really helpful. And yeah, so yeah, you can get your chocobo and that'll help you out with a lot of things. So yeah, some those are some things to remember. And then so those are the main so those are all of the main classes that you can start off with. Um, I think that you'll have a lot of fun checking out all of the different ones. Um, but then once you reach level 50, you unlock some more classes. So at 50, you unlock Samurai and Red Mage, which is a melee DPS and a ranged magical DPS, respectively. Um, so those are fun. Um, at Once you get through the main story and get into Heaven's Ward stuff, you unlock Machinist, which uses a gun. It's the gun range DPS.
That's
Um,
cool.
yep. So you do that. Um, Dark Knight, which is a tank, and Astrologian, who is a healer. And Astrologian uses cards. Dark Knight uses a big ass sword.
Nice.
Yeah, each of the weapons are actually really fun. So, yeah, I think that you'll enjoy checking out the different classes. It's one of the things that I always recommend. Check out the classes when you get them. Whether or not you actually play as them, like that's completely up to you. You can decide not to do that, or you can decide to do that. Um, all of the classes except for the ones that you get at, starting at level 50 and onward, all start at level 1. including Blue Mage, which also comes in at 50, but you have to go through like the story in order to unlock it. But all of them start at level 1. All but Blue Mage can get all the way up to level 100. Blue Mage can only go up to 80. Once Beastmaster comes in, it's only going to be able to go up to 50. And so on and so forth. But also Blue Mage can't do like standard content compared to like everyone else. So
Hmm.
yeah. Blue Mage and Beastmaster are special. They're very, very special. Basically, Blue Mage, you learn all of your spells. You learn by killing very specific monsters. Once you so basically you have to see an enemy use a spell, and then once they have used that spell, you can then kill the monster and then learn it, and then you can use that spell whenever you want. And it's very fun.
Interesting.
It's a very fun class. Unfortunately, they because of the fact that it's so unbalanced, um since those two Beastmaster and Blue Mage are kind of unbalanced, they can't do standard content with everyone else, because then it would be just a huge mess. One of the things that a lot of people have suggested, and myself included, is that they set up options so you can then go as Blue Mage as each of the different roles, blah 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 blah, and um it's preset spell lists or something like that. They're not gonna do it, unfortunately, because they don't like fun. Um, I'm kidding. They probably won't. They probably won't do it, but they might do it. Um, but yeah, Blue Mage is very fun. I think that you would enjoy it once you get it. Um, just be aware that it's kind of a challenge to play. Um, so yeah, so you get through that at level 60. You then can get who can you get? Gunbreaker and Dancer, which Gunbreaker is a tank, Dancer is a uh ranged physical DPS. Very fun, very random though, so a lot of people have a lot of difficulties with that. Um, but it's a very fun class, in my opinion. They use chakrams for
Mm,
Dancer, and then
nice.
Gunbreaker basically uses a gun sword, which, yeah, big surprise. So that's 60. 70. um you, do you get 70 classes? No, you would not. So in free to play, you cannot get the level 70 classes, or the 80 classes, and when the 90 classes come out, you can't get those, um because they're each of those is tied to their specific expansion. So, but I'll still go over them. So at 70, you get Reaper and Sage, which is Sage is a healer, Reaper is a melee DPS. It's very similar in concept to that of Dragoon. It just looks cooler. Um, so there's that. Um, and then at 80, you get Viper and Pictomancer. Viper is a melee DPS, and Picto is a magical ranged. Um, And yeah, all those are all very fun classes. I'm not going to go over all of the details with them, but because obviously there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff later. When it comes to the new classes that are coming, we know little to nothing about them. When it comes to Evercold, and that is something that is going to be talked about significantly once the uh all over the internet, people are going to be going to talking about the classes and like theorizing like what they can do. um we do know that one of them is a tank and one of them is a physical ranged. Beyond that, we know nothing. We do know that we have a vague idea that the new class that's coming, that the tank class that's coming, is going to use two shields, which is going to be kind of interesting. Basically, there's an enemy that's in Realm Reborn that uses two shields, and Yoshi P was wearing that shirt, a shirt of that guy. So a lot of people are just like, "Oh, it's got to be that, right?" There are other people who will use like um that big shield and then some other weapon, but based off the fact that they specifically that it's a shirt of that one specific guy, I do think that it's probably going to be a dual shield person. We'll see what happens. Um, Probably gun shields because that's what the guy had. Um, and then for the other class, the range DPS class, it's kind of presumed that they're going to use crossbows, but the thing is that machinists can use crossbows, so it's just like, huh, I wonder how that's gonna work. Um, there's like some other things as well, like basically people listed off like hammers and whips and stuff like that, as well as like the crossbow thing. Um, and Yoshi P said that someone was correct. He didn't say which one, so everyone's assuming, oh, it has to be it has to be the crossbow because he hated the whip idea. Um, Yoshi P always complains about the fact that like really long things require so much animation. So like a whip is pretty much off the table. No one expects there to ever be a whip weapon ever used. Um, it's the same reason why he hates long hair. They don't do long hair in the game, unfortunately. Despite the fact that a lot of people actually would really like long hair. Um, for the record, as to the longest hair that's in the game, it's like halfway up your back or halfway down your back compared, which a lot of people are like, but I want something all the way to my butt or longer. um, what do you think about that? The idea of like having hair that's all the way down to your butt as a character.
I mean, I wouldn't be attached to it. I don't really like long hair in general. I'm a guy with short hair, so
Yeah. Um, so I do think that that's kind of that is one thing as well. Um, Personally, I don't really specifically go for long hair whenever I create my characters. However, there is like one hairstyle that I would absolutely love to see in the game, and I would use it for like 5 minutes. Or I would probably switch it on and off every now and again, where it's a long ponytail that goes all the way down to your feet, and it's just ridiculous. Like I don't even care that it's like that it would be impractical and it's like constantly clipping. Um because that's like the complaint, that's the thing that they're concerned about, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Give me like a long ponytail that looks like freaking Monica's in Dark Cloud, like just swinging all over the freaking place, and it's completely obnoxious. Like, yes, I would love that just for shits and giggles. I would never use it in like major content and stuff, or like constantly, but just like some joke thing would be freaking hilarious. Some joke hairstyle. I'm sure that there are going to be some people who would never use it, and then there's me who's just like gonna be like, yeah, let me just have this hairstyle just for shits and giggles, like every now and again. Um, but yeah, I think I've shown you like how long her hair is like in previous nerd chats. I don't know. Do you remember that?
no.
Okay, let me grab an image of her so I can show you just. Like this is just an artwork of her, but like you can kind of see like how ridiculous her hair is. Um, but yeah, it's just like a long ass ponytail. That's just all the way down to her feet, and like sometimes it doesn't like drag on the ground or anything. But personally, I would love to have something as stupid as that. Just as long as that, just for shits and giggles. It like swings wildly too. It's like I'll be honest, I don't think anyone who would want this hairstyle would ever want it to be like, oh yeah, I want to be like normal and like not clipping through my gear at all. The whole fun part about it is the fact that it clips through everything.
Yeah. Oh, that
uh
is long.
it is really long. And granted, like I said, would I use it constantly? Probably not. But every once in a while, I want to be able to use something that stupid, something that long, just for shits and giggles, because it's fun. It's a fun little aspect, and like honestly, comparatively, I don't see a lot of people like using long hairstyles. Very rarely do people even use the hairstyle that goes like halfway down their back. It's extremely rare. I think it's like 1 in like 500, maybe. It's very few. Maybe even 1,000 players will use that. 1 in 1,000 players will use it. Probably less, but you get my point. Is like people don't really like using like the long hairstyles mostly because they like they do clip. They do constantly clip. But I think if they decide to go with like a long ponytail or something like that, I think a lot more people would be willing to use those. Even if it clips through your hats or whatever, like just have the ponytail like go out and blah 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 blah. I think a lot of people would be like, "Yeah, this is cool. I'm cool with this." Um but they don't do that. They just don't for whatever reason. Um, but I don't know. They are doing apparently a lot of character customization things, so I don't necessarily expect them to like go crazy when it comes to hair in this one. Um, but yeah, they're giving us like a whole bunch of character customization. I think it's like an actual color picker for like your skin, your hair. Probably like if you have a horn, you can choose the color on your horn. Um, Aura have been like the people who play Aura have been wanting the ability to change their horn color forever because you have two colors. You have black and you have white, and that's it. Are you a lizard or are you a fish? Um and that's one thing that a lot of people do complain about, I think from what I've understood. Um but yeah. Um and when I say horn if you're a lizard or a fish, that's like lore stuff. Basically, if you have the white horns, then you're technically a fish. You're literally you're the Little Mermaid. That's actually lore accurate. Is you're the Little Mermaid if you play an aura with white horns. Um, if you have like black horns, then you are basically descended from dragons.
Huh.
So aura are fun. They are very fun. And yeah. I think I did suggest to you that at some point you play as a Lalafell, and I still stand by that. You should every single player should at one point play as a Lalafell because they're just so ridiculous. And uh, one of the other aspects is that Lalafell have specific zones that only they can access, and
Huh.
people are annoyed about this. Um there's so basically what it is that there is a specific town in Shadowbringers that is completely populated by not Lalafells but dwarves. They look like Lalafells, but they're since it's in a different universe, so they're called dwarves there. Um, and as a Lalafell, you can go into their houses, but as anyone else, you can't because the doors are too small.
Huh.
And then I think that there's other areas, but that's like the one that everyone remembers. And then in uh the one that people really get annoyed about is in Dawn Trail. There is a very specific house in a very specific town that has a door, and the door is it's big enough that the short the short characters, so like the semi short characters, so female Aura, female or both Makotes, except for maybe like the really tall Makotes can't do it. Um they wouldn't be able to make sense. Um I think and I think that might be and like short humans. All of them can fit into should be able to fit through this door, but only Lalafels are allowed to. And it's just like, what the heck? And yeah, so
Interesting.
all female Aura should be able to go in this, but only Lalafels are allowed to go in there. And it's just like everyone's annoyed by it. And yeah, because the specific characters that do that are it's another race of people in Dawn Trail that are they use the child models um for them for these characters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they are shorter. But these are like full-grown adults, but they use the child models as and then they put on these outfits for them. So, yeah. They're fun characters. Um they're very similar to Lalafell, so that might be the other reason. Lalafells are business moguls. Um so and as so are these other people. It's just like, oh, so the shortest race, the one that people act like they're children, are business moguls in universe. That makes no sense whatsoever, but okay. Um, but yeah, in terms of like why, so I also want to briefly go over like some reasons why I specifically will suggest, um, either Gridania as your starting city or Ul'dah as your starting city. I don't ever suggest Limsa to any newcomer. Once you are certain that you like the game, then I would suggest you start out in Limsa. Um, then you would create a character that you start in Limsa, because by that point you know what the people are, what some players are like. Because Limsa is the gathering spot for all the RP players, and you'll just like walk by, and I think I sent you like a video of this where you'll walk by and like there's just like some ERPer just like talking out in like the shout chat, like, yeah, let me just blah bleep 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 bleep, and it's just like, okay, I did not need to know this. And it's not like super common, it just happens every now and again, and they'll just like do this in shout chat, and it's just like most of the time it's only in like um the say chat, because with say you can it's only those that are really close to you, but yeah. There's some not great situations that have happened in uh yeah. Limsa is one of those places where you need to know what the player base is like before you start a character there, because if you are thrown into that in the deep end and you're just like as a very new player, then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna start this game. Let me start this game. Bleep! And then you quit the game and never play again. So I like, if you know it's coming, then you might be able to handle it, but it's just Limsa. It's nowhere else. It's not you will never see that anywhere else except for maybe the clubs. Um so, and yes, there are clubs. Oh, the clubs. The clubs are terrifying. Um so yeah. But yeah, as long so yeah, avoid Limsa like the plague. Gridania is nice. I like Gridania. I think it has like the best setup of the towns. Um, because for one, the uh the inn and um the base, I'm forgetting what it's called, the Grand Company, both of those are like right next to the main Aetheryte, and then you go through one door and you are in the trading hall. Comparatively, Limsa has the trading hall right next to the door, right next to the Aetheryte, and that's why everyone goes there. Um, so personally, I think that Gridania is a little bit better when it comes to that sort of thing. So whatever. Um, and then Ul'dah, the reason that I always suggest it for players is that a vast amount of the story, when it comes to like Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward, um, specific and even yeah, actually all the way through Stormblood, all of the story is focused on Ul'dah. Like there's not like very little deals with Gridania, very little deals with Limsa. Um, so you're just constantly going back to Ul'dah. Ul'dah is the Thanalan, which is the overarching area, is also like where you up until I want to say 40, maybe 45. Yeah, 45. Up until 45 ish. Um the base of the Scions is in Thanalan, which is in the same which Ul'dah is also in Thanalan. So that's why I always suggest start off in Ul'dah if you are able to, if you want to like see the story. At some point I would recommend that every single player goes through every single story up to like level 15. Because it's around level 15 where you start to interact with the other cities. And everyone's railroaded into a single plot point, a single plot line. Um but yeah, 1 to 15 is basically just hang out at the city state for a while, and each one of those has quite a bit of story involved with them. And then once you have gotten up to once you get up to level 15, everyone starts doing the same story. So yeah. And then also at 15 you unlock your Grand Company. The Grand Company basically allows you to get your first mount, um and all sorts of it basically makes everything easier once you get up to level 15. um Pay attention to the story. The story is extremely important. I don't think there's any. I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting that you should that every single Final Fantasy fan should be made aware of when they're first starting off the game. Um, um, oh, go to the Gold Saucer. At some point, you should go to the Gold Saucer. It unlocks in Ul'dah, and then you can around level 15 ish. And once you start going to the other city states, you can go there, and it's great. There's chocobo racing, there's mini games, there's all sorts of cool stuff. People have spent hours in the Gold Saucer just playing the mini games and such. So I think that you'll have fun if you go there. Um, there's mahjong, there's, like I said, chocobo racing, there's a minion mini game that people don't play. Um, there's too many games that basically show you what gathering used to be like in 1.0, uh and so on and so forth. There's a lot of really fun stuff. um there's a thing where you dodge big breath attacks. There's jumping puzzles, there's a shooting mini game. um there's one where you have to dodge pillars of bamboo as they're falling down on you. um it's just fun. It's a lot of fun. There's like a crystal. There's you know those towers in a lot of arcades where you hit it with a hammer, that exists. Um, There's a crane game. There's a thing where you punch something as hard as you can, and it's just fun. Check out the Gold Saucer. I think that you'll enjoy it once you can. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Do you have anything else that you want to say about the game?
Nope.
Okay. Just that you're ready for to start the game and see what all the hype is about.
Yes, I'm very ready.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and another thing as well. Remember, it takes hours to get through the story of this game, but you really should read all of it. It's gonna trust me, you will enjoy the story. You'll regret not reading the lore if you do not read the lore when it happens. Because like there's several characters that you're gonna meet later on, and you're gonna be like, "Who's this character? Who's that character?" And it's because you missed it. That's why. So read everything. But this is a several hour long game. Keep in mind, I'm as Zoe. I started her journey back in Heaven's Ward. Or sorry, like at the end of Realm Reborn. I started that in January. And I'm just now, like, maybe not even halfway through Stormblood. And there's still several expansions left to go. So, and that's like 1 3-hour live stream every week, give or take. Sometimes it's more. Sometimes it's less. But, yeah. Keep in mind that it's going to be a long process to go through all of that. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed today's nerd chat and are looking forward to the next one. Look forward to next week because, like I said, I'm going to be live streaming, very, very early, um, to like probably until noon, watching the fan fest. So look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. But yeah, check out that if you are very far into the game, because Evercold is going to be fun. But yeah, anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed. I've been Electro Ninja, and he's been Jack, and we will see you guys next time. But on